The entire route, starting at Leiden in Holland and moving southwards through Belgium, Normandy, to Bordeaux and the vineyards of Saint-Emilion, where Brière captured the yellow jersey, and onto the holiday resort of Biarritz. Well, there they had a rest stay and then set out into the Pyrenees, the first chance for the mountain specialists to make an impression. The 11th stage from the village of Pau to Saint-Lary-Soulon includes 3 severe climbs, the Col de Tourmalet, the Col d'Aspin and the much-feared Pla d'Ardèche, a total of nearly 20,000 feet. Well, as we join it, Belgium's Michel Pollentier and Joop Zoetemelk of Holland lead up the Col de Tourmalet, chased by 2 Frenchmen, Bernard Hinault and Mariano Martínez. Commentator Phil Liggett.
4 miles still to go to the top of this terrible climb. Mariano Martínez looks to Hinault, tries to lift the speed just a little to hold that back wheel of Bernard Hinault of France. Hinault beginning to recover. There you can see the 2 men. Beginning to recover, Bernard Hinault. No doubt encouraged now by the people who have written his name in the snow line of the Col de Tourmalet today and on the Col d'Aspin. They've climbed from the rain of the valleys, through the cloud, to the sun of the skies. They've descended and done it all again over the Col d'Aspin. And now, for the 3rd time today on this 101-mile stage, they're having to do it all again. This is the great leveller of cycling, the high climbs in the Pyrenees. And this is a tremendous fight back by Bernard Hinault and Mariano Martínez, because they are now just 10 meters behind Joop Zoetemelk and Michel Pollentier. Already news has come of the abandonment from the race of Bernard Thévenet, last year's winner. He gave up on the lower slopes of the Col de Tourmalet. Yesterday he lost over 12 minutes on a climb that wasn't considered to be one of the difficult ones of the Tour de France. He said he couldn't breathe. And now we've got an attack by Michel Pollentier. Zoetemelk screwing up his face. The road begins to narrow as we climb towards the summit. Zoetemelk seemingly mastered this one. Michel Pollentier, the little Belgian, the champion of Belgium for the 2nd year in succession. Zoetemelk matching him pedal rev for pedal rev. A little glance behind there for Pollentier to see if he did any damage. And look at the damage he's done. He's dropped again, Bernard Hinault. Mariano Martínez, at the time they were nearly with them, he attacked. It was too much. They've dropped back to another 50 meters. And that must be a terrible disappointment for Hinault. He must have felt he was back in contention. And now as we near the top of this climb, some 2 miles to go, Michel Pollentier is trying to leave Joop Zoetemelk of Holland. He knows now that the yellow jersey of Joseph Bruyère is some 2.5 minutes behind. But if he's going to take over the overall lead, he must make over 5 minutes on Joseph Bruyère. Certainly, at the moment, anyway, it looks to be a good move by Pollentier. Zoetemelk has lost ground. The elastic has broken, and that is Zoetemelk being caught now by Bernard Hinault, the champion of France. An enthusiastic spectator there giving Hinault a welcome dousing of cold water. The partisan French looking out now for Hinault, and while the Dutch rider Zoetemelk is caught, Hinault has a nice, cool, refreshing shower there and begins to go by Zoetemelk. Zoetemelk lifts his speed enough to get behind Hinault. 3 men now chasing Pollentier. In the front, Hinault, 2nd Zoetemelk, and 3rd, another Frenchman, Mariano Martínez. Now this is a tremendous fight back by Hinault. He lost ground on the lower slopes of the mountain. He's certainly fighting back. Zoetemelk knows he must not lose any more ground. 3rd overall, Bernard Hinault. 4th overall, Zoetemelk. The man who is 2nd overall, Jacques Bossis of France, is now nowhere at all in the Tour de France. He was left on the Col de Tourmalet, and now he trails many, many minutes behind. The leader, Josep Bruyère, he's over 2 minutes behind. Still the yellow jersey on the road, but surely destined now to lose that yellow jersey to either Michel Pollentier, Joop Zoetemelk or Bernard Hinault. 3 of the 4 men at the front. Hinault fighting his bicycle. If he can catch Pollentier, then he must do it alone. Zoetemelk now suffering terribly behind him. The dark horse, Mariano Martínez. He's never found this sort of form for years. This great rider who won a medal in the World Championships in Canada. Never since found the real form. But at 29 years old, he's come back onto the grand form that everybody believed he had, somewhere in those legs. An interesting point here, you may notice all the riders have the figure 1 as the suffix to their number, because each man who is leader of his team is given that sort of number. For example, 41 is Zoetemelk, 101 is Mariano Martínez, the odd man out, Michel Pollentier of Belgium. He is 92 because 91 is worn by Michel Martins, who is still the leader in the points classification and has won 2 stages of the Tour de France. But at this moment, Martins is only just beginning this long climb up to the finish. These riders 4 miles ahead of many, many riders left in the race. Some 10 miles ahead of those riders who may yet be eliminated from the Tour de France. And among them, we think, Britain's Paul Sherwin, who has fought on, but suffering terribly on the climb of the Col de Tourmalet, 6,800 feet into the sky, 11 miles the Col de Tourmalet. And Michel Pollentier was the first rider to the top of that climb, followed by Martínez, 8 seconds behind, and Bernard Hinault also 8 seconds behind. On the long descent, 20 men came together, and then Sven-Ocker Nielsen and Paul Wellens went into the lead. They were caught on the lower slopes of this climb, and now, as you can see, Pollentier again, the man in control. Still on the left, Bernard Hinault. In the centre, Joop Zoetemelk, and the other man, Martínez. These 3 men now, the only 3 men who probably are in contention for final victory in the Tour de France with Michel Pollentier. The man who has missed the move, and the great disappointment probably for TI Rally, is Henny Kuiper. The Dutchman last year who was second is at the moment struggling behind in a group over 3 minutes behind. Henny Kuiper of Holland has failed in his attempt to match these men when he knows he had to do it to be in contention for the Tour de France. Pollentier fighting his bicycle, but just look at that gap. These men are coming back to him. Pollentier knows it. There you can see him. And the man who's bringing him back, the champion of France, Bernard Hinault. A tremendous ride by this man, 23 years old. He comes from Brittany. The people that are lining this route all the way to the top, there'll be a 4-hour traffic jam to get off this mountain tonight. There's 1 road up and 1 road down. And every one of them have come to see Bernard Hinault. And he's putting on a great show. He's fought from the groups behind. He's not giving up. He's carrying along the road now the two riders of Zoetemelk and Martínez. Hinault just ahead of Zoetemelk, and it looks like Martínez is hanging on at the back. And there is Pollentier on the left. He's been caught, and Hinault is in the lead. Bernard Hinault of France goes into the lead. And we're just about 2 kilometers from the top of this climb. And the lead 4 minutes ahead of Josep Bruyère. So we're looking now at the new leader in the Tour de France, Bernard Hinault. 3.5 minutes behind Bruyère at the start of the day. now he's 30 seconds ahead of him. Bruyere has lost the yellow jersey, and I think he's lost it for good. Bernard Hinault of France may well be wearing yellow tonight. These four great men, what a tremendous battle. Zoetemelk has suffered all types of agony, but is still in there in that group of four riders. We're now approaching the final kilometre to the summit. These four men have proved themselves the best in the Tour de France. Perhaps we're seeing one of just many grand battles in the mountains between these four men, and I wonder if their strength can possibly hold out for another 11 days. Hinault has attacked. He's still working at the front, and he's stretching these men. There is Bernard Hinault stretching the men now, followed by Zoetemelk. These final meters to the line. What a great finish if Hinault can win for France. He's wearing the jersey of the champion of France, followed by Zoetemelk in third place, the man wearing the jersey of the champion of Belgium, Michel Pollentier, and Mariano Martínez, the great surprise of this year's Tour de France. They're in the ski resort village now on the mountain of Pla d'Adet. They'll soon be making the sharp right-hand bend, and there goes Martínez. Martínez is attacked. What a surprise! Followed by Bernard Hinault. Zoetemelk hasn't got it. Zoetemelk has not got it. Just look at the enormous crowd, and all they are shouting is Hinault, Hinault, Hinault. They're coming round to pass under the banner now, 500 metres from the finish, and I think we're seeing the winner of the Tour de France. Surely this man, Bernard Hinault, is going to win this race this year by the biggest margin for years and years. The 65th Tour de France. And look at the lead of Mariano Martínez. I don't think anybody would be displeased to see this great little Frenchman win the stage today. Mariano Martínez, 29 years old. They're not going to catch him. They're not going to catch him now. Mariano Martínez is going to win this stage, the toughest stage in the Tour de France so far. 150 metres to the line. You'd think he was going downhill at the speed he's moving. And there he comes round the cars. And that wasn't a very good turn. The race director on the course did him. He made him take the long way round. Mariano Martínez has won. In second place, Bernard Hinault, and he's beaten Michel Pollentier. And in fourth place, Joop Zoetemelk. He's lost time again. And now the watches will go on. Joseph Bruyere.
Well, an extraordinary bit of riding, and to confirm that, the official result of the 11th stage, won by Mariano Martínez of France, formerly of Spain, of course, 5 seconds in front of Bernard Hinault of France and Michel Pollentier of Belgium. Zoetemelk of Holland, Agostino of Portugal, and Henny Kuiper of Holland took the other 3 places in the top 6. Well, thereafter, they were back in the mountains, the Massif Central this time, with summit finishes at Besse-en-Champdes Superbesse, where Bruyere retained the lead, and the Puy de Dôme. Well, that's where we rejoin some of them on stage 14 as they tackle a time trial racing individually against the clock on the 1,600-foot peak, an effort so demanding that oxygen tents await them at the top.
And the final slopes for Joop Zoetemelk of Holland. Zoetemelk just a few seconds behind Bernard Hinault earlier on. Zoetemelk sprinting those last few meters. He was down on the check with Michel Pollentier, 6 kilometers, but then we've had this long climb, which has varied from 1 in 11 to 1 in 7 on the slopes, 3.5 miles. So anything could happen on those slopes. Zoetemelk, a very, very good, but my goodness me, he's dropped a heavy gear in there. His legs are bending under the pressure as he winds up the sprint. Every second counts. The best time on the left. I can't believe it. 1:25.51. He's done it. I cannot believe it. Here's the yellow jersey. The time again counting now. The time of Zoetemelk, who's obviously now going to be the winner with 1:25.51. And we can't say enough about this man from Belgium. He's not a climber. That yellow jersey has done so much for him. Number 22 was not a number to watch at the beginning of the Tour de France, only on the flat stages. Now all the climbers are watching him in the mountains as well. There hasn't been a man as tall as Joseph Bruyère do well in the Tour de France since Gerard Saint way back, 20 years ago. Well, the seconds are ticking away. He's not going to win. But what's crucial now is, can he conserve his lead of 1 minute 58 seconds? Which is the advantage he had over Zoetemelk today. An absolutely tremendous performance. He's got to be inside 1 hour, 27 minutes, 49 seconds if he's going to conserve that yellow jersey from Joop Zoetemelk. Those final meters, the crowd are willing him on. He's Belgian, but they don't mind anymore. He's done so well. He's kept that jersey of the Tour de France for 6 days. This is going to make it 7, I think. Coming up now to the last few meters of the climb, this 1 in 7 bend, the crowd giving him virtually no room there to get through. His shoulders bobbing, his legs weaving, the pain must be terrible. His chest must be burning from breathing in the air today. Very hot, 85 degrees in the valley when he started. He's climbed up and it's still 75 on the mountain top. The seconds now counting away. He must beat 1:27.49 to hold that yellow jersey. Every second counts, and Bruyère is sprinting for the line. Oh my goodness me, he's done it. It's a tremendous performance by Joseph Bruyère of Belgium. Nobody would say he would have kept the lead, and he has kept the lead in the Tour de France. A tremendous ride by Joseph Bruyère of Belgium. He's finished in the 3rd fastest time of the day.
And the result now of the 14th stage, a win for Joop Zoetemelk of Holland, Michel Pollentier of Belgium in 2nd place, Joseph Bruyère of Belgium was 3rd, with Hinault, the hot favourite of course to win this stage, 4th, Agostino 5th, and Van Impe, another noted hillman, 6th. Which means the overall leader is still Joseph Bruyère of Belgium, followed by Zoetemelk of Holland, Hinault of France, Pollentier, Agostino and Kuiper. Still anyone's race, of course. Well, there's the route map, and there's the 2,000 miles they've covered so far, from Leiden in Holland all the way to Michel Pollentier leads, being chased by Hinault, Kuiper and Zoetemelk. Commentary from Phil Liggett.
Pollentier fighting his bicycle, hoping for the end to this torture. The snow line is coming nearer. The climb to Alpe d'Huez is one of the hardest in any Tour de France, and today so much depends on it, and these 4 riders in the lead know it. They are the 3 men, the only 3 men now who can catch Pollentier. Out of the saddle and leading, Bernard Hinault, the champion of France. He won the stage into Saint-Étienne, he won the time trial stage at Saint-Foy-le-Grand. He is the 3rd man overall in the race. Behind him, Henny Kuiper. Kuiper, something of a disappointment in the Pyrenees, where he came out of the mountains with a deficit of 7 minutes on the leader, Joseph Bruyère. But now coming into his tremendous form, we know that he always has had. There is the climb still to go. Like a piece of rope laid across a tablecloth. These 3 men beginning now to eat into the lead of Michel Pollentier. They are just 1 minute 30 seconds behind, and the working is on now because Kuiper is at the back and having to close the gap there of that movement by Bernard Hinault. There's some advice from Hinault's team manager, Cyril Guimard, alongside him, always alongside his men in the mountains, to urge on the champion of France to try and take that yellow jersey for the first time. Just 1 minute is the time gap now. It's coming down all the time. Pollentier must know, he must feel it in his legs. He must feel the pain in his legs now. More help for him from Fred de Beren, his team manager, out of the saddle. But surely this man is committing suicide. He made an attempt on the Col de L'Huitel. He took terrible risks on this descent of that mountain. Only 10 feet wide, the road, with sheer drops down to the basement, over 4,000 feet below. He took a lot of risks. He came onto the valley road with a lead of over 3 minutes. And now the men chasing him are back to 1 minute behind. And Bernard Hinault still making the pace. And it looks as though Joop Zoetemelk has been left behind on the climb. And this is a terrible surprise, one that nobody anticipated. Only Henny Kuiper is still behind Bernard Hinault, who is responding tremendously to over the cheers of 300,000 people on this climb of 8.5 miles. There is Michel Pollentier. Does he know that the move has been made now by Bernard Hinault, just 1 minute behind him? And it looks as though Kuiper's going to make his move. For the first time now, Kuiper's gone into the front. Hinault has mastered that one. Time and time again on these steep climbs, Hinault has often lost 100 meters and come back. This time, there is no such gap. And look at the crowd now. This road was 20 feet wide an hour ago. It's now just 6 feet wide. What a tremendous finish. Michel Pollentier, this great cyclist, has led for 40 miles. And Hinault can see him on the next slope. Hinault is cutting his way through. That was the cheers for the Belgian man on the front. What will it be like for Hinault at the same point? We're coming now into the chalets of the holidaymakers on this ski resort. We're now 6,000 feet up into the sky. There's the snow line, and soon will be the finish. Hinault responding magnificently to the cheers of this partisan public on the top. They've waited for nearly 10 hours for this position. If he wears the yellow jersey by the end of this climb, he will be the first Frenchman to do it, while actually being the champion of France since 1953. Pollentier, still some of the steepest parts of the climb to come, but now the crowd at its thickest. Hinault surely will lift himself from Kuiper because of the extra support. Kuiper not giving an inch. This great Dutch competitor who won this climb last year will not give Hinault an inch. More Schaubaths for Henny Kuiper. They're keeping up with him on foot. Oh, and dear me, there's a 100 franc fine for Henny Kuiper there, although he never asked for that push. If you're pushed and you don't ask for it, it's 100 francs. That's about 12 pounds. If you're pushed and you ask for it, it's double. Kuiper has attacked Hinault. Kuiper has attacked him. It's incredible but true. Kuiper is the man now in pursuit of Michel Pollentier into the final kilometre, just 600 yards to the top. Michel Pollentier still holding out, but there's a very dangerous bend before the top where they all fell off last year. There is Bernard Hinault. But between Hinault and the leader, I think almost certainly is Henny Kuiper. The one man at the front, Michel Pollentier of Belgium. This man now must be chilling down the spine with fear. Fear, which is a terrible feeling that only a cyclist knows, that he has just a few yards to go to the top. He can't go any faster, and he knows that just behind him, the whole race is coming. £500, the prize, but he's not thinking of the prize. He's thinking only of the victory. The man in second place, TI Rallies, Henny Kuiper, and down in amongst the people, the champion of France, Bernard Hinault. What a tremendous final battle. A fight to the death on this climb of Alpe d'Huez. 8.5 miles up into the sky. There you can see the snow. The road's now cleared and very wide. It's almost the end for Michel Pollentier, and nobody could ever deny him the win. This great man beginning now to ease up his gears, not pedalling quite so quickly as he selects a higher gear for the finish. The final corner, he's rounded safely, and that's a very dangerous bend, and still the road climbs, but 200 metres for him, and it's going to be a win for Michel Pollentier. He's hung out all the way from the Col de Zoetemelk, 7.5 miles that one, 8.5 miles this one, 50 miles in all, and a tremendous performance that nobody can deny him. He won't lead the Tour de France, I'm sure, because Bernard Hinault is going to come in, but we'll keep the watch on him.
Well, that magnificent victory by Pollentier was followed within hours by humiliating disqualification. He was found guilty of cheating in a dope test, and the stage was awarded instead to Holland's Henny Kuiper. In second and third places, the inevitable Bernard Hinault and Joop Zoetemelk. And the overall position, well, that changed dramatically as well. Brière fell back into fifth place. Joop Zoetemelk of Holland took over the lead, 14 seconds in front of Bernard Hinault of France. Then came Kuiper of Holland and Agostino of Portugal.
The main field still not showing the signs of a main field that are going to catch those men in front. Zoetemelk in the centre of your screens, concentrating, but I think confident that at least today he will not lose those 14 seconds to Bernard Hinault, the French champion. That will come possibly tomorrow in the time trial at 75 kilometres, race of truth for individuals between Metz and Nancy. 12 riders, the dozen men who took their chance when they left Switzerland, when the race was more or less asleep, because the riders just didn't seem to want to race in Switzerland. They came over the last foothills of the Alps and dropped back into France, and then this group took advantage. They slipped away, and Hoban, being the wily old man he is, saw the move on. He moved up to it, and now I wonder if he can really come up with the goods. Wezenman has done an awful lot of pacemaking in this group, and that can mean only one thing. He's working for his teammate Jan Raas, who is sitting further down the long line. And it's interesting to note where Barry Hoban sits, always on the far right of the group, because the wind is coming from the left, and that's what a clever man he is, hiding from the wind, using as little energy as possible. And these riders are beginning to build for the final dash for the line. They're watching each other now, trying desperately to think of what each other is thinking. Wildebedo, Willy Teerlink, they're all in there. Van den Broek, Jean-Luc Van den Broek of Belgium, he will need to go alone. He has no sprint at all. He can't win from this group, of that I feel certain. Rennie Dillon still sitting at the back. It's gone to a photo finish, but it looked to me, here's the slow motion, Raas on the left, the big figure of Marc de Meyer on the right. Well, there's no way you can tell that one. And here come the big field. And the big field coming in, led by Ad van den Hoek, another TI Rally man, comes over the line for the 12th position.
Well, it was a really close finish, but Phil Liggett was absolutely right. Victory in that 19th stage awarded to Marc de Meyer of Belgium, fractionally in front of Jan Raas of Holland, and a fine fourth place for Britain's Barry Hoban at 38, still one of the best sprinters in the business. Well, in yesterday's 20th stage, a 47-mile individual time trial from Metz to Nancy, Bernard Hinault from France was the clear and outstanding winner. But the really significant aspect of the result was that he finished 4 minutes and 10 seconds in front of Joop Zoetemelk, which meant that as they go into today's penultimate stage of the Tour de France, 128 miles from Epernay to Senlis, the overall leader is now Hinault, now nearly 4 minutes clear of Joop Zoetemelk, and he's now just 2 stages away from becoming a great new star of world cycling. Well, so far they've covered some 2,400 grueling miles, approaching the town of Senlis, just north of Paris. Now, the stage is in 3 sections. The 50-mile first section from Epernay to Soissons was won by Freddy Maertens of Belgium. The second section, the 87-mile ride to Compiègne, was won by Wilfried Wessemehl, also of Belgium. We pick up the action on that final section from Compiègne to Senlis, with the Frenchman Jean-Jacques Foussienne having broken away from the rest of the pack. The commentator now is Phil Liggett.
Tremendous action shot of Foussienne. You can see by the way he's sitting on the nose of his saddle that he's trying to pull into those pedals every ounce of strength from his body. His mouth wide open, gulping in the oxygen. He's never known a more serious moment in his life, this clown prince of the Tour de France. My goodness me. He's never won a stage of the Tour de France. And there you can see the effort in slow motion of this rider. Like a fish out of water, gulping in everything he can take. Fighting that bicycle out of the saddle. His legs, his arms, his back, all ache as much as each other. Well, there you can see the way the public are again lining the route, mapping it out. This is one of the few races in the world that nobody needs to put the arrows up to show the way. The public know exactly the way of the Tour de France. And there Zoetemelk has caught Jean-Jacques Foussienne. Two riders in the lead. André Zoetemelk and Jean-Jacques Foussienne of France. Wilfried weighs them all. He never gives up, this rider. He's doing a tremendous amount of work once again on the front. Completely unselfish in the way he rides, because he's not working for his own benefit, but to try and help one of the other TI Rally men, more capable in the sprint finish, win the stage. He's pulling back these two leaders. Nobody has helped him at all. Wilfried weighs them all has caught them. So Wilfried weighs them all, making contact there with André Zoetemelk and Jean-Jacques Foussienne. And that looks as though it's Jerry Knetemann in the group. If that is so, that is the man that Wilfried weighs them all has been working so hard for. Knetemann, already a stage winner. Also, he wore the yellow jersey earlier on in the Tour de France. And these men beginning to make some ground now over the main pack. And there's the first man on the track, and it looks to me as though it's Jan Raas of Holland, the TI Rally man, surely not going to win 10 wins. 10 wins for TI Rally, and this is so, this nasty little track, 333 metres round, 1.5 laps to go. 1 lap to go now. It looks like Jan Raas of Holland, and it certainly is Jan Raas of Holland. Rally have already won one stage early today with Wilfried weighs them all, going for the double on the day. And there's the main field, come right in front of him. That's the danger of a track finish. And right in the middle of the group now, Jan Raas has got to come through to finish. So there's the big bunch. The 78 riders completing the penultimate stage of the Tour de France. The group only just broken clear when Jan Raas came onto the track. He left 5 men. Those 5 men have been caught. And there's Jan Raas. We lost him in the pack, but he won the stage. Congratulations by his teammates. Absolute total confusion, but no doubt about the winner, Jan Raas of Holland, and the judges will just have to sort the rest out on the photo finish.
And after its 2,600-mile loop through Holland, Belgium, France and Switzerland, a crowd of almost 250,000 turned out in the streets of Paris to cheer their hero, Bernard Hinault, to victory in his first Tour. Our commentator Phil Liggett was with them all the way, and he now gives us an inside look on what is, without doubt, the greatest of all the cycle races.
There couldn't have been a more controversial race. The Tour de France made a false start in Leiden in Holland on June the 29th, when heavy rain caused the cancellation of the opening prologue. Just before the start, officials said that it didn't count. And perhaps that was an omen, because from then on, an exciting race followed, both on and off the stage. It was a British-backed team who shook the continental experts by dominating the opening 8 days. Nottingham's TI Rally held the leader's yellow jersey with 3 different men. Jan Raas and Jerry Knetemann, both from Holland, and Klaus-Peter Thaler, a German. During that week, they also won 4 stages, but in a time trial around the vineyards near Bordeaux, it was Belgium's Joseph Bruyère who went into the lead. He proved what a tonic the yellow jersey really is. He should have lost it on the terrible climb of the Platedet, a road to nowhere above the Pyrenean village of Saint-Lary-Soulon. But he hauled his 6'2" frame in the tracks of his major rivals and surprised everyone, including himself, by keeping the lead. He should have lost it on the next climb to Superbès near Clermont-Ferrand, but he finished in the same time as all his major rivals. He seemed unbeatable. Even the best climbers were shocked when he arrived on the extinct volcano of the Puy de Dôme. He even beat Hinault here, the outspoken young man destined to win, who earlier had called Zoetemelk an old man. And he didn't count old men, he said. Between the Pyrenees and the Massif Central, the riders had registered their protest at being treated like animals, the words of Dutch veteran Gerben Carstens, who, like the rest, objected to getting up at 4:30 a.m. after climbing 17,000 feet the previous day. Hinault and Bruyère, with Carstens in close support, led a tense ramble through Gascony, home of D'Artagnan and chivalry. They dismounted at Valence d'Argent and walked across the finishing line. The people felt insulted, but the riders felt vindicated. Eating steak, rice and apple tart at 4:30 a.m. after racing long distances in their high mountains and then queuing in traffic jams that took 4 hours to clear, removed some of the guilt from the pampered sports image that professional athletes seem to conjure. Entry into the Alps was made with Bruyère ahead of Dutchman Zoetemelk, followed by Hinault, annoyingly confident that he would beat them all when he was ready. How it all changed on Alpe d'Huez. Bruyère lost 11 minutes, and Pollentier, 4th overall, moved into the lead, but for just 3 hours. On the mountain tops, the first cloud formed above the race when Pollentier, the champion of Belgium, was caught attempting to cheat a routine dope check by using pre-prepared urine concealed in a rubber tube twisted about his body. His disqualification and 2-month suspension, costing him at least £40,000 in lost contracts, put Joop Zoetemelk into the leader's yellow jersey for only the first time since 1973. After the dope drama, Zoetemelk had claimed he may have lost the race because he had had his tactics ruined chasing Pollentier, who in Zoetemelk's words was a man who never existed. The final day in the Alps was a bizarre and bitter blow to TI Rally, for when Henny Kuiper, lying 3rd overall, hit his head on an overhanging rock and fell to the ground, retiring to hospital, they were left with no known leader. This left 2 men, Zoetemelk the leader and the young Breton Hinault, breathing down his neck just 14 seconds behind. This, in prospect, was offering the closest finish ever to the Tour de France in its history. The 2 men never left each other's sides for the next 3 days, giving Barry Hoban, in his 12th Tour, the chance for a 9th stage victory in a long and peppered career. Hoban broke clear on the road to Belfort and was beaten, ironically, only by the team tactics of TI Rally. Hinault finally made his winning move, as he always said he would, in the time trial from Metz to Nancy. He beat Zoetemelk by an enormous 4 minutes, leaving him 2 days to show his new yellow jersey to the 600,000 people who spent the weekend in and around Paris, awaiting only the 30th French winner in the history of the race. On arrival on the Champs-Élysées, he contentedly rested with the main field of 74, knowing that from this day forth, he was a hero and a very rich man indeed. So leading Freddy den Hertog, coming now for the final time to swing onto the Champs-Élysées. In 2nd place, Henk Lubberding of Holland. In 3rd place, Freddy Maertens of Belgium. In 4th place, Gerry Knetemann, also of Holland. These 4 men now going to have to fight out the 23rd and final stage of the Tour de France between themselves. Over 1 minute and 15 seconds, they lead the main field, which contains the overall leader and winner of the Tour de France, Bernard Hinault. They can see the finish now, and still it looks like Den Hertog setting the pace. Den Hertog in the front, Gerry Knetemann, the man on the back. That's the man to watch as they try to ease out Freddy Maertens, the 2 rallymen. Oh, there's a lot of move across the road there. Gerry Knetemann has made his move. He's gone on the inside of the picture on the left-hand side, and a tremendous sprint by Gerry Knetemann. Nobody's going to touch him, but Freddy Maertens is fighting to come into action. Maertens tried. No, it's all over. Gerry Knetemann, Freddy Maertens, Henk Lubberding and Freddy den Hertog. That's the finish of the 23rd stage of the Tour de France in Paris. Bernard Hinault finishes in the front of that main field and has now won his first Tour de France at the first attempt.
And to confirm the overall positions at the end of the Tour, victory indeed for Bernard Hinault of France in 108 hours, 18 minutes, just under 4 minutes in front of Joop Zoetemelk of Holland.